But there's also other bad news for Andrew, as I said earlier. You expect the bottom of the barrel to have been somewhere a couple of months ago, right? But somehow, the bottom of the barrel keeps going lower and lower and lower. And the latest tranche of photographs that have been released by the DOJ in the US of the Epstein files show more and more photographs of Andrew. And in fact,
for Prince Andrew, the sprawling 30-room royal lodge in Windsor was meant to be more than a home. It was a fortress, a carefully negotiated exile where the disgraced Duke could live out his days in private luxury, shielded from the world he embarrassed. The palace's strategy was clear: silence, seclusion, and the slow hope that public memory would fade. But what happens when the walls of that fortress start talking? Not through leaks or tabloids, but through the very people who built them, the protection officers, the royal aides, the international diplomats who shared his space. This isn't just another headline. This is a coordinated, cold-blooded breakdown of the royal omertà. And the man at the centre, along with the ex-wife by his side, might finally be out of places to hide. Before we dive into these explosive new whistleblower accounts, make sure you're part of the inner circle. If you want unfiltered daily updates on the monarchy's biggest dramas, hit subscribe and ring that bell for Royal Family Daily. We go deeper than the headlines. The silence was first broken not by a whistleblower, but by an author, Andrew Lownie's biography. Entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, was published to a mix of scandal and scepticism. Palace allies quickly dismissed it as a rehash of old allegations, relying on anonymous sources. But within the tight-knit, often fearful community of former royal staff, that book did something extraordinary. It acted as a beacon, a signal that there was a credible, safe channel to speak. Lownie says the reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. It suddenly opened the floodgates, he revealed. What the palace hoped would be a full stop was, in reality, just the first sentence of a devastating new chapter. Who are these people coming forward? The range is what dismantles the disgruntled ex-employee defence. We're not talking about one or two people. Lownie claims a sustained deluge of 2 to 3 contacts every single day. And the profiles are startling. First, the Childhood Foundation. A nanny from the 1960s, someone who knew Andrew long before the titles and the scandals, has reportedly come forward with accounts of his formative years. Then, the professional sphere, senior Royal Navy contemporaries, men who served with him and witnessed his conduct in a strict, hierarchical environment. Diplomats, like an ambassador from Kazakhstan, offering a view from the chaotic, image-sensitive world of foreign tours. Most damningly, former heads of the Foreign Office and protection officers from the elite Royal and Specialist Protection Command. These are individuals trained in discretion and loyalty above all else. Their decision to talk speaks to a profound shift. As one former palace worker put it, there is a sense that the moment has arrived for honesty, and many do not want to be remembered as having stayed silent. This is about legacy, theirs and his. This kind of detailed insider testimony is what we live for here at Royal Family Daily. Stick with us to get the full, unvarnished story. So, what's the core accusation tying all these disparate voices together? Lownie and his sources consistently describe a deep-seated pattern of entitlement. But let's move beyond the vague term. What does that actually mean on the ground? Based on past staff reports and the new whispers, it paints a picture of a man who treated public resources as personal perks. Reports of excessive, last-minute demands on staff that blurred the line between royal duty and personal whim. Stories from royal tours where the behaviour of the Duke's private party allegedly caused diplomatic headaches for professional embassy staff who were left to smooth over incidents quietly. There are unverified but persistent rumours about the financial arrangements at Royal Lodge itself. Questions about who exactly pays for the immense upkeep, the security, the staff, and whether Andrew's portion is covered by his mother's inheritance or if it strains palace budgets. This entitlement isn't about one scandal. It's about a lifetime of operating in a bubble where consequences seem to apply to everyone else. You cannot separate Andrew's current crisis from Sarah Ferguson. Still sharing Royal Lodge in a famously unconventional arrangement, Fergie is trapped in the epicentre of this storm. Insiders suggest the atmosphere inside the lodge is toxic and strained to breaking point. While the whistleblowers focus on Andrew, Ferguson is battling her own demons and rumours. Unverified reports, like those mentioned in tabloid sidebars, claim she has been drowning her sorrows in booze, deeply anxious about her financial future and her tarnished reputation. More explosively, there are rumours, always labelled as unsubstantiated palace gossip, that a desperate Ferguson has attempted to leverage her proximity to the King and Queen Camilla, using the threat of her own potential public disclosures to seek financial support. Whether these specific claims are true, they circulate in the same corridors as the whistleblower stories, painting a picture of a household under siege, where panic and pressure are creating a dangerously volatile mix. Every staff member who leaves that house now carries more potential secrets. The impact on the wider monarchy is where this gets strategically dire. A senior royal source didn't mince words. The royals are quaking all over again about the prospect of Andrew doing yet another takedown of Andrew. But it's more nuanced than just fear of bad headlines. This whistleblower surge threatens the king's carefully laid down, slimmed down monarchy model. It resurrects the institution's worst instincts: secrecy, protectionism, and a them versus us mentality with the press and public. Furthermore, it exacerbates a rumoured rift. Some insiders believe William's camp is utterly furious, seeing Andrew as an endless drag on the crown's credibility, while Charles, bound by a sense of familial duty and perhaps his mother's wishes, is seen as more inclined to provide a safety net. This new wave of accusations forces that conflict into the open, testing whether the institution will continue to protect one of its own at the cost of its global image. The palace power plays and hidden rifts are our specialty. For ongoing analysis you won't find anywhere else. Subscribe to Royal Family Daily. This brings us to the most dramatic prediction from the heart of this storm. Andrew Lownie's belief that this won't end in Windsor. He has publicly stated, "I think that charges will be brought against him and he will flee to the Middle East or somewhere, probably like King Juan Carlos." This isn't wild speculation. It's grounded in specific reported offers. For months, intelligence has circulated in security and diplomatic circles that Andrew has a standing invitation to relocate to the United Arab Emirates. The offer, reportedly, includes a palace-grade residence in Abu Dhabi and a security detail. Think about the symbolism. This isn't a retreat to a Swiss chalet. It's the potential final act of a royal, becoming a permanent guest of an autocratic regime, mirroring the exile of Spain's scandal-plagued former king. It would be the ultimate admission that there is no future for him on British soil, a fugitive duke in all but name. Ultimately, this story is no longer really about Andrew. It's about a fundamental power shift. The monarchy's authority has long been underpinned by control. Control of the narrative, control through patronage, and the unspoken control exerted over those in its service. This coordinated wave of whistleblowers, from the nursery to the negotiating table, shatters that control. They are choosing history's judgment over the palace's displeasure. Each person who comes forward makes it easier for the next. They have the anecdotes, the documents, the memories, and they've realised that in the digital age, their collective testimony is more powerful than a title. Andrew's story, it seems, will not be written by the Crown's archivists, but by his former chauffeurs, his ex-military colleagues, and the diplomats he once stood beside. They hold the keys to the final volume of his disgrace. What we're witnessing is the unraveling of a royal life in real time, not through police investigations, but through 1,000 small confidences. The fortress at Royal Lodge was built to keep the world out. But now, the stories are flowing the other way, and each one is a brick removed from the wall. What do you think? Will Andrew Windsor ride out this storm in Windsor, or will we see the ultimate royal exile play out? Could this whistleblower moment actually force the palace into a final, definitive break they've been too hesitant to make? Let us know your theories in the comments below. If you found this deep dive into the monarchy's biggest crisis revealing, show your support. Smash the like button, share this video to spread the insight, and most importantly, subscribe to Royal Family Daily. We're here every day, separating palace spin from the shocking truth. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.